Jon Vlassopulos, ladies and gentlemen. I saw this gentleman in his native habitat, Jon Vlassopulos, British accent, Nashville, Tennessee. We were there for Bitcoin Nashville in July, drove around in his convertible Aston Martin. He knew everybody in town, knew all the hot spots. That city is absolutely incredible, a music hub, dynamic, very livable, and it was awesome. We know each other from China. He has a great story. I want you to share. We're not even going to get into Napster first. We're going to get into the Jon Vlassopulos origin story and your path to China, Roblox, music, and now Napster, please.
Good morning, everyone. Rich is one of my, I think 1993, maybe, we knew each other. So back in the day when we were in preschool in Beijing, we were knocking around when I was studying Chinese in university. So it's nice to be back in Asia. Always love coming back every year, seeing great people like Ralph and supporting Jasper in the event. So my journey began as a DJ, actually back in China in the 90s when we were knocking around. And then that allowed me to get into the music industry for a record label called BMG, and started in Hong Kong in the regional office and then moved to Tokyo. And I think back in the day, we were talking to Believe and some other labels now, and they're going, we're investing in local acts, and we used to do that back in the 90s in the major labels as well. So got to know a lot of the artists in the region, and then got taken to New York and was part of a global team at Bertelsmann, and that was where I had the first connection with Napster, the kitty on my t-shirt. So Napster won. Bertelsmann put in about 60 million into the company, and then we took a $1 billion offer to the music industry to legitimize Napster One. And Napster, if you remember, we were talking to the tech support guys that you could chat to people. You obviously got all the music. The Napster 2 was going to keep that social side of music, and then it was going to be a $9.99 model. And we believe that curation shouldn't be centralized and should be more pushed to the network. So you could then have little islands of discovery with your favorite radio stations and DJs and magazines and venues and festivals and artists, et cetera, et cetera. And then you could have digital goods, and there was going to be micro subscription, and then there was going to be a whole offline component where you could get vinyl and cassettes and CDs to the door. So like a whole 360 platform, but much more of a platform model and less of a gated service, which kind of DSPs became after that. So if it wasn't for my German boss at the time, who antagonized the music industry a little bit, he wanted to run away with all the ice cream from the party, we would have got the Napster 2 live. So we were very close, but didn't make it happen back then. So it always stayed with me, what if we could have finished what we started? So I think over the last 25 years, music has gone now to kind of saturating in the DSP model where every possible track is digitized. We thought we would have 3 million tracks available. We now at Napster have 170 million. So I think generally now, as I went on the journey, I left music for a while and then went back to music at a company called Roblox. And we did a bunch of virtual concerts and digital goods and generated hundreds of millions of dollars for artists and labels and brought people together. So that human aspect of music we felt was missing. So at Roblox, we had a big community of now 380 million kids on the platform every month. So they were brought together around music. They could chat, they could connect. And then the artists could connect directly to their fans and monetize through digital goods.
What's the biggest concert that you put on there?
Lil Nas X was the big one we had. There was 40 million people coming together, which was kind of fun. And it was my kids, whenever they get asked, what was your first concert? They say, well, my first concert was Lil Nas X. It was a virtual concert. So for that Gen A audience, they don't really see a difference between real and real life and virtual. For them, it was just people coming together. They could come together with their friends, not in their same city. So they got together with their old friends from San Francisco and friends from London and friends from LA, all on the platform. So after Roblox, the metaverse was hot prior to AI being now eating the world. So the metaverse was sort of the buzz factor prior to AI. So no one particularly knew what we were up to in the metaverse initially at Roblox. And then I was speaking with Zara Larsson, a Swedish pop star in Lisbon, and that was the same week that Facebook rebranded as Meta. So after they rebranded as Meta, the whole world went metaverse crazy. And I thought it would be interesting to go deeper into the metaverse and was going to take a gig at Meta. And then I got found by, so the story of the Napster after we left it at Bertelsmann, went to Roxio, then to Best Buy, and then end up getting acquired by Real Networks. And Real Networks had started Rhapsody. So Rhapsody was the first ever streaming service that launched the $9.99 model before Spotify. And so they rebranded it as Napster in 2011, and then 2016. The company stayed independent till 2020, then was taken public in the UK, and then our investors took it private 2 years ago. So these group of investors, led by a $1.5 billion hedge fund, came to me. He was a Chinese guy who lived and worked in London. I was a British guy who lived and worked in China, so we got on. And he goes, look, you've been going on at Roblox about how you want to change the music business, and things need to be different, and the DSPs have no innovation and antisocial by design. We bought a small one, so why don't we team up and see if we can make some impact on the music business? So that was 2 years ago. So since then, I think we've been cleaning up the Napster business. It was a legacy company. We were still in data centers. We weren't in the cloud. We were still taking credit cards because the company had been around for 20 years. And so now we've modernized the business. We're right at break even. And we're kind of in a process now to raise material funds, or the company's maybe looking us to kind of roll us up into something bigger. But we're very excited about the kind of phase 2 of music. So Lucian, the CEO of Universal Music, spoke this morning in London at their kind of investor day. So he's talking about kind of the phase 2. So we feel it's time for a company to really disrupt the business again. You know, like Napster did 25 years ago. Streaming has become, kind of too staid. There's no innovation. There needs to be something new. So we think the key components of that new platform will be threefold. So currently we have content in one bucket, which is Spotify's and Netflix and us, etc. Access to X amount of content for Y dollars. And then you have the creator monetization bucket or leg. So that would be companies like OnlyFans, Patreon, Kajabi, where you can connect directly with your audience and monetize. And then there's the social bucket. So Snapchats and Metas and TikToks. So the thesis is at Roblox, we wanted to buy SoundCloud. So that would have completed our bingo card, because we had a very active social community. We had a very active creator monetization platform. We didn't have content, but we couldn't get there on price. So now we feel with Napster, we have all the rights. We have the same rights as Spotify. We think that's the hardest of the three legs of the stool. So now we're interested we'll be rolling out a product next year that will reincorporate social. So we'll all be able to connect together around music. Music is inherently social. That's been lost. For some reason, streaming became a single-player sport, which it shouldn't be. And then we're bringing in ways for the artists, the fans, and the curators, which we'll come to in a second, to connect directly and monetize those relationships through micro-subscriptions and digital goods. So kind of Patreon meets TikTok, or Snapchat meets Spotify in one platform. So looking very different to the traditional DSPs. So the final point, I'll pass back to Rich. So one thing we're very passionate about is curation. So I feel I started off as a DJ as I mentioned, in China and the UK. So I was a curator of sorts. And I think through the DSP movement, music has been all that curation has been lost within the machine, right? So all those amazing playlists that help us discover what to listen to, and all those great curatorial brands, the magazines, the venues, the festivals, the radio stations, they're all kind of buried in the background. And everything now has become Spotify, Spotify, Spotify. So we want to change that, and we want to reintroduce the excitement of connecting with, again, someone that you trust, whether it's going to a festival, a venue, discovering something new. I was on the plane coming over reading my Under the Radar magazine, which is one of my little Bibles, and discovered American China Bear and Goat Girls and all these great bands. So we want to allow these communities, whether again it's a venue, a festival, magazine, DJs, labels, etc., or brands, to connect directly and think about them as mini clubs on top of the platform. So we think you shouldn't be getting all that for free on Spotify. We want to help those curatorial brands connect directly and build community then. So if I love Under the Radar or Stereo Gum or NME or Coco is a great club in London, or EDC, whatever I'm into, I can find other people who are also into it. So we want to bring kind of the community back and connect and allow that curation to be a key part of the economics of the system moving forward. So we have too much. Basically, in summary, we've got now all the music is digitized, so that part's done. right? All the music is out there. Now we need to kind of go back to this tribal connection around music, bring people back, allow people to connect directly around these smaller tribal experiences. And also we're excited to connect more with the offline experience to drive music to local venues. Number one reason that people don't go to festivals and shows is because they don't have anyone to go with. So we want to, again, get these kind of groups reconnected, allow us to connect around music and get excited about discovering and turning other people on. And we think that's the next phase of the business. So I'll stop there.
Kaboom Town. Wow. Man, what a journey. So much to unpack.
All before my first coffee of the day.
Right? And you are certainly the person that championed that. Wow, so much to unpack there. I mean, the Napster brand is so storied and so well known, yet I love Sequoia, the venture capital firm, when they talk to a startup, they ask them when they're looking for funding, why now? Why now? What's changed now? And 40 million people in a virtual concert. And the fact that you have all of these existing licenses, but there are so many things changing with AI, with blockchain as well too. I'm here for Token 2049. I'm, entrepreneur in residence at Animoca Brands. I just flew over in a flight from Dubai with 300 people, all for Token 2049. We're about to land, and I said, "I'm sorry, did you say you were from Singapore?" He said, "No, I'm not from here. I got wrecked in the last crypto cycle. I'm single and poor." But hello, is this thing on? So I want to, I'd love to hear your thoughts about how this vision folds into AI and blockchain and the tokenized version of the internet in your roadmap.
There'll be a transcript at the end for all of Rich's jokes that you can study, come back to him, have a delayed laugh, and he'll appreciate that. So yeah, I think if Napster was really the original decentralized before crypto was a glint or branded platform. So Napster originally was decentralized.
That's an epiphany for me. You're right. It actually truly was. It was peer to peer, and it was just like it was really truly was decentralized. Okay, keep going. Yeah, thanks.
And it was open. I think a lot of crypto now is that there are highwaymen on the highways taking tolls along the way. But back then, it really was all of us supporting the network. And we didn't call them nodes, and it was just people supporting the network. So the spirit of Napster was definitely one of decentralization, power to the people, rebellion and getting things out there and connecting people. So we think some of our investors are crypto investors. We're looking to bring on new investors. So we think there's an important aspect of ownership that the blockchain can provide, where there's a frustration. So Avenged Sevenfold, if anyone's a rock guy or girl, Huntington Beach hard rock band. So the guys, I was chatting to Matt a few weeks ago. So I think they're one example, right? So they've now left their label at Warner. They've gone direct to their fans. They've set up the Death Bat Club, which is kind of their fan club, and it's somewhat tokenized. So there's rewards for turning up to their shows. They just headlined Rock in Rio, and the frustration amongst the artist community is that social platforms, DSPs, legacy DSPs are kind of in the middle of a relationship that they feel they should have directly. So there's definitely that movement where the ownership aspect, from an Napster perspective, we're looking to be more of a platform that's a gated service.
So like indeed, 40 million people at the concert. Where's the merch? The merch is NFTs, tokens, other virtual items, and that's something where that can really enrich the artist as well too in the future.
Yeah, I think we don't want to necessarily shout too loudly on the front end about like Web3, but we think there are definite benefits on the back end to ownership and control and transfer of goods. So I think again, Lucian's summary this morning was three main aspects to the future of the business. One, streaming itself, there's still a lot of headroom, so around 600 million now, and that's still going up and to the right. Number two, super fandom, and the economics around it is a core part of certainly their strategy, and we think the next phase. And it necessitates a new material platform. It's hard to do. We have 3 artists, and we're going to grow to 100. So we already have a storefront for every artist in the world on the platform. We have the same rights. And 3, that music is sort of this human experience. So going back to that social side that's been missing, where we can connect with other people around music. The live experience connects more with the digital experience, and we have less of these siloed experiences of radio, live, and DSP streaming. So yeah, I think it's a pretty. I think Tune FM raised whatever 50 million yesterday on the Web3 side. I think there's a lot of excitement in the space. If you look at the Google search results for like superfans, it goes like this, and then there's massive hockey stick. But I think the key part is less lip service and really being able to deliver these experiences at scale. So what we tried to do at Roblox was having, as Rich was saying, like material lighthouse examples where we would have success for reach, so 40 million people, making millions and millions of dollars, so money, reach, where other people can go, I want to do that. So that's what we'll be looking to do next year. So we're looking to have 20 to 25 partnerships with, again, magazines, festivals, venues, labels, DJs, etc., that will show how we can bring these communities, digitize them, help them monetize and reach directly away from an advertising model. And you'll see the playlists, so all of the playlists in the world are all owned by us, really, as the fans, right? They're not owned by the platform. So I addressed a group of Wall Street investors, who the main guys who invest in all the public music stocks, Universal and Spotify. And I mentioned that you can export. When I moved to Napster, I took 320 playlists from Spotify into Napster, and they're like, "You can do that?" I was like, "Yeah, you can." So the nuance is not going to be promoted by Daniel, because obviously it's a little bit of an Achilles heel for the Spotify platform, because when you bring the playlist in, we have the same tracks, so it's a one-for-one mirror. So we think, again, empowering individuals who have our playlist to bring them to the platform. Maybe there are new ways to monetize it, connect, express yourself. Imagine like a QR code. When you meet someone, it's not just a Spotify Wrap once a year. You can scan the QR code and I can see what Paul's into and Rich is into. And we're connecting around music and having compatibility and finding people to go to shows with. And think about a venue plus digital subscription. So when you arrive in Singapore, you can see all the bands on a playlist that are playing in the next month in Singapore or Hong Kong or London. And you can find other people of your friends and new friends you might want to go with. The venues can give you a promotion, kind of like radio, going, hey, you sign up today, you'll get one ticket free or get a drink at the bar. So just making the whole thing a lot more fun. We think the fun has been lost from music, and it's time to bring it back again.
John V, making a dent in the multiverse, ladies and gentlemen. Kaboom Town, thank you so much. That was great. Yes, thank you.